Pre-trip inspection checklist. Front of vehicle, lights and reflectors, proper color, clearance, and turn signals amber. Headlights are clear, working, not cracked or missing. Leaks, check for puddles, check for drips under engine. Engine compartment, passenger side. Water pump mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts. Hoses attached securely and not leaking. Water pump is not leaking. Water pump is belt driven. Alternator mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts. Wires good connection, not frayed. Oil level, check for oil level and condition, dipstick and filler. All other hoses, wiring and belts, no bare wires or cracked installation. Hoses are not leaking. Check that none of the belts are frayed or cracked and have no more than 3/4 of play. Coolant, check for coolant level and condition. Hoses mounted securely and not leaking. Power steering reservoir mounted securely, no missing nuts and bolts. Hoses attached and not leaking. Check for level and condition. The air compressor mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts. No air leaks at lines. The air compressor is gear driven. Steering gearbox mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts. Lines and hoses are not leaking or broken. Steering linkage, pitman arm, drag link, steering knuckle, tie rod ends, not cracked, bent or broken. Capsule nuts and cotter pins not missing, and cotter pins are in place. Front suspension, the spring mount mounted securely at the front and back, no missing nuts or bolts, not bent or cracked. U-bolts have no missing nuts and is not cracked. The leaf springs mounted securely at the front and back, and they're not shifted and not cracked. The shock absorber mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts, not bent or dented, and not leaking. Front brakes, hoses and lines mounted securely, not leaking, not cracked or frayed. The chamber mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts, not dented, no air leaking. The slack adjuster mounted securely, no broken loose or missing parts, no more than 1 inch of free play at the push rod with the brakes released. The drums, brake drums, not cracked, broken or dented, no oil leaking from inner seal and free of debris. The lining, brake shoes not cracked, not broken, or no missing parts, not less than 1/4 inch in thickness. The front wheel, the tires are proper inflation, company or manufacturer specification. Condition, no bulges, no cuts, no retreads on the front. They are at the proper depth, tread depth of minimum of 4/32. The rim, not bent, not cracked, no welding repairs. Lug nuts, none are missing. They're tight, there's no shiny threads and no rust trails. The outer hub oil seal, not leaking, no missing bolts, and at a proper oil level. The driver's door, the door opens and closes securely. The hinges hold the door securely, and the seals around the door are good. The driver mirror, mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts, clean and free of obstructions. No, not cracked or not broken. The fuel tank, mounted securely, no missing nuts, no missing bolts, not leaking. The seal under the cap is in good condition and the cap is secure. The air lines and electrical lines, mounted securely from the back of the tractor to the trailer glad hands, not cracked, kinked, or leaking. Electrical lines securely attached at both ends, no cuts, no cracks, or worn installation. The battery box and batteries, box mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts. Batteries are secure in the box and not leaking. Connections are not corroded. The lid is on secure. The catwalk, mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts, it's not bent, and it's free of obstructions. The drive shaft, not bent or twisted, coupling U-joints appears secure. The exhaust system, from the rear of the engine compartment, all visible parts are mounted securely. There are no dents, no holes or leaks. The frame, from the front of the tractor to the rear, no missing nuts or bolts, not cracked or dented, no welding repairs. The utility lights and reflectors, clean and working and none missing. Front of trailer, the headboard. The header board has no holes or missing rivets. The lights and reflectors, none broken, cracked or missing, working properly, and the color is amber. The drive axles. Drive suspension, control arm mounts, mounted securely at the front and back, not bent, not broken or cracked. U-bolts have no missing nuts and not cracked. Control arm and torsion rod, mounted securely at the front and back, no missing nuts or bolts, and is not cracked or shifted. The shock absorber, mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts, not bent, not dented or leaking. The airbags, they are mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts, and they are not leaking. The drive brakes, the hoses and lines mounted securely, not leaking, not cracked or frayed. The chamber, mounted securely, no missing nuts or bolts, they're not dented, no air leaking. The slack adjuster is mounted securely, no broken or loose or missing parts. No more than 1 inch of free play at the push rod with the brakes released. Drums, not cracked, broken or dented, no oil leaking from the inner oil seal, and it is free of debris. The lining brake shoes, not cracked, not broken, and no missing parts, and they're not less than 1/4 of an inch in thickness. The drive wheels, the tires are of proper inflation, company or manufacturer specification. The condition is good, no bulges, no cuts, and you can't have retreads on the rear. Proper tread depth, a minimum of 2/32. The rims, not bent, not cracked, no welding repair. Lug nuts, none missing, they're tight, no shiny threads and no rust trails. The outer seal is not leaking and there are no missing bolts. Checking for space and the spacers, check for objects between the wheels, check for proper spacing. The coupling system, the mounting bolts, none missing or broken. The release arm, not bent or broken, and it is engaged in the lock position. Locking pins, not missing, not broken, no broken parts, engaged in the lock position. The air line, mounted securely and is not kinked, not twisted or leaking. The platform holds the skid plate securely. It's not cracked or broken. The skid plate mounted securely on the platform, properly greased and tilts freely. The kingpin is not cracked or bent. The apron, not bent or any damage to visible portions. The gap, I checked that the trailer apron is lying flat on the skid plate. The jaws, check that the locking jaws are fully closed around the shank of the kingpin. The rear of tractor, lights and reflectors mounted securely and not cracked or broken, working and proper color of red. The backup light is clear. The splash guards, mounted securely, not torn or missing. The trailer side, the landing gear is fully raised, handle secure, mounted securely, no missing parts. Support frame not cracked or broken. The frame not cracked or bent, no missing or damaged cross members, no signs of holes or damage to the trailer floor. The tandem release, locking pins secured and locked into place. The release handle is secure. Lights and reflector working and a proper color. Side are all amber, they're not broken, they're not cracked, and they're not missing. The rear of the trailer, the doors not bent, not broken, the seal is in good condition, closed and the latch secure. Hinges secure, no missing nuts or bolts. The door ties securely mounted and not missing. The splash guards, mounted securely, not torn or missing. The DOT bumper, mounted securely, not bent severely. Lights and reflectors, check rear corners and across the back. Proper color of red and they're working, they're not broken, they're not cracked, or they're not missing. The in-cab inspection with the engine running. Emergency equipment, the 3 red reflector triangles mounted securely, the fire extinguisher mounted securely, minimum of 10 BC, fully charged with spare fuses. The safety belt mounted securely and not ripped or torn and latches securely. The steering wheel has no more than 10 degrees of free play. The clutch engages and disengages securely. The shifter, it moves in and out of gear properly. Range selector works. Water temperature gauge is working, reading from 170 to 210 degrees. The oil pressure gauge is working properly. Normal oil pressure is from 20 to 45 psi. Check that the warning light does come on and go out. The odometer or voltmeter gauges show in between a range of 12 to 14 volts to show battery is charging and that the alternator is working properly. Lighting indicators, left and right turn signals, 4-way flashes, and the high beam all work. The horn, the electric street horn works properly and the air horn works properly. Heater and defroster, move the switch from defrost to heat. Check for flow of air above and below. The windshield is clean and free of obstructions, not cracked or broken. Windshield wipers and washer fluid working. Mounted securely to wiper arm. The rubber is not torn. The washer sprays properly. Driver and passenger mirror clean and adjusted correctly.